Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce. How you doing?
Hey, David, never in doubt, eh?
Never for a second.
Jump to the early lead and just cruise on to victory.
If there was ever a game where the team deserved to come back, man, the Capitals deserved to come back in that game. They took over that game. I mean, the grade A shots, Bruce, we had them at 16-8 for the Caps, doubling the Oilers' total. Is that Cat Stevens? 16-8. But the Oilers had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the first 7 chances were the Oilers, jumping out to that big lead. 5 of the first 7 chances, grade A chances, were Edmonton. And after that, it's just one Caps chance after another. And there's one chance in the entire second period for the Oilers. And the next chance for the Oilers is the scoring sequence where they win the game in the third period, with 4 minutes left. So that's a pretty long dry spell with one scoring chance, more than half the game, I think.
Yeah.
Like 40 minutes. Anyway, they did win, and it was fantastic to win a game against a good team like that. Let's do our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast.
I got it at 45 minutes, David, with one grade A shot.
Yeah, there you go.
10-minute mark of the first period, the 5-minute mark of the third left.
Wow.
On the clock.
45 minutes.
And they have one.
And what are the Caps had like
a zillion?
10. Yeah, 10
7 in the second. They had the last 3 of the first. It was 7-1 in the second, and they had the first 2 of the third. So it was a 12-1 run.
Yeah, so I'm saying, the Caps deserved to come back in that game, and the Oilers were lucky to win it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? The Oilers have lost some games, though. That they deserve to win, and this happens in hockey, and they won one here that they probably didn't deserve to win, but it's still a win, and that's fantastic. 2 good things, 2 bad things, 2 numbers podcast. Bruce, we'll do 2 good things each. Why don't you start it off?
Okay, well, I'm going to go with tonight's scoring and general all-around game hero, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I thought he had a very fine game. I was furiously note-taking on his fine penalty killing earlier in the game. There was one penalty kill shift that he was just fantastic, where he won the puck, got it down into Washington territory, and created something down there, and then he came all the way back to his own zone, won another battle, and cleared the zone and got off. And he was just the and then of course he had an assist on the power play goal by the Oilers scored to make it 3-0. Then he scored the short-handed game winner when the Oilers were in desperate need of just a penalty kill you're hoping for. 3-3 tie, 4 minutes to go in the third period, and they have to kill a penalty. And I mean, I bet you a lot of Oilers fans had the same thinking feeling in their stomach that I had at that point, that here, that penalty is going to torpedo the ship, and there's going to be a late power play goal, and that was that. Well, instead there was a late shorthanded goal on a brilliant 2-man thrust by Zach Hyman and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, with the Nuge doing the final honors of tapping it home. And credit to both guys for going to the damn net. Hyman went there and found the loose puck. Nuge went there and found the pass and tapped it in. And then just to finish off his night, he sank one into the empty net, 5-on-6. So 3 points for Nuge, none of them in 5-on-5, and people criticize his 5-on-5 scoring. Well, if he can score 3 points in other man situations, then I'm prepared to forgive the 5v5. But he was a huge difference maker in this game, and rightfully awarded the game's first star.
He and Hyman seem to be a really strong pair on the PK, don't they? They both really smart players, and They're getting the job done. It was Nuge and Kara last year, right, on the teaming up together on the PK, and
Mostly, yeah.
they were pretty good too. But Hyman's stepped right in there. Hyman's really good with the puck. When he's got some moves, he's always trying to take it to the net. That the
Yeah.
scoring play, I think we'd be remiss, I think is the word, if we didn't mention that Evan Bouchard kicked that off with a nice
Yes.
battle one
Hmm.
in the defensive zone and getting the
A
puck up.
good
So
pass. Yeah, he dumped it
yeah.
into the neutral zone where Hyman could skate onto it,
Hmm.
and so he made up for his pass to the other team on the first Washington goal.
Yeah, he sure did. That was an uggo play by Evan Bouchard. My good thing, Bruce, my top good thing was the play of Evander Kane. I thought he had he's just getting back into it. Third
Hmm.
game with the Oilers, and I thought he had his best game yet. And he starts it off. This is like again when he was coming into town, I didn't have much of a thought of Evander Kane, although I've seen him play many times in
Hmm.
both, in his various cities that he's been in.
Especially in
You
San
can kind of
Jose.
kind of see why. Like if this is the way he scores his goals, they're not exactly charging up the ice, breaking in on the goalie and deking him. He seems to be more a tip machine, and it was a beautiful tip shot that
I love it.
that got his goal. I mean, it just really was. There was some really smart puck movement off the draw. McDavid to Cody Ceci, who put it back to Keith, walked the line a little bit, put it on net, and Kane tips it in. A very smart face-off play, which I would say is something that it's kind of missing, generally speaking, from the Oilers' repertoire as compared to some other teams. I don't know how many goals the Oilers score off the face-off. I don't seem to recall a whole ton of a lot of them, but maybe that's about to change. Like Kane was on a team, San Jose, that absolutely specializes, if you ask me, in
Oh,
set plays and outside shots being tipped in. I mean,
tipped in. Yeah.
it's their whole freaking game, and they're really good
Remember,
at it.
remember one game San Jose beat the Oilers. I think it was 6-3, and either all six or the first five of the six were scored on deflections, and it was just that it was. I mean, it was a masterpiece from their perspective and a nightmare from Edmonton. So I still remember it.
Kane's next really good play came in the. I'm gonna just talk about three offensive plays that he made. His next really good one came in the second period. Cody Ceci made a very nice defensive stop at the blue line and passed it down low. I think it was to Kane Kane and he and Yamo just kind of exchanged the puck once or twice before Kane was able to set up Yamamoto for a one-timer shot in the slot, and it was the only dangerous shot in that 45-minute time
Yes.
period for the Oilers. So Yamamoto wasn't able to score, but it was a good moment. And then the final one is when the net is empty. He
Hmm.
was able to dig the puck out, loft it into the air to Nugent-Hopkins at center ice, and Nuge put it in the net. So three really fine offensive plays. But honestly, the play that really won me over, and I'm a sucker for this, Bruce, like is when he stood up for Connor McDavid.
Hmm.
After McDavid got rocked in what I would call a collision and maybe even an inadvertent collision as opposed to a hit. I don't think Hathaway was trying to nail Connor McDavid with a hit. They were both just kind of charging in the same direction for the same puck, and they smashed into each other. That's how I saw that play. The Oilers didn't. They did not see it that way, and they immediately start to go after Hathaway, which they should. Like the superstar gets bashed, doesn't matter how it happens, you go after them. Yamamoto slashes, but Kane was like right in his grill, looking to fight him, and would have fought him if Hathaway had taken the challenge. Hathaway's probably thinking, why should I have to fight? I just maybe you saw this
Hmm.
differently, Bruce, but he's probably thinking, why should I have to fight? I collided with the guy. I didn't even mean to hit him. Uh, but anyway, and then Cassian, glad he didn't get a penalty there.
Hmm.
Tried to get in a fight a little bit later, but I really like Kane's response. I think it's important to have a player playing with Connor McDavid who will do that, and it's why, Bruce, the Oilers don't need anymore to have Zach Cassian move up the lineup, which is a really good thing because Cassian is not an up the lineup player anymore. If he ever was, he isn't that anymore. And you need someone to fulfill that role with McDavid or with Draisaitl. And Evander Kane looks to be the bad guy, you know, for the Edmonton Oilers, the villain that the other team might hate. and we got a little taste of that there.
Yeah, well, he was credited with 7 hits in this game, Evander Kane,
Yeah.
but the 2 hits that I remember, he was on the receiving end of both of them. He got rocked by
Oh yeah.
Hathaway over the boards and into the bench, and his skates came up and over, and then Hathaway pushed him into the bench when his skates were flailing. And poor number 91 on the bench got the heel of
Yeah.
Kane's stick right in the top of the helmet. Luckily, he ducked the right way and didn't get it, facial or worse. I mean, you see those blades flailing away in the bench. So that was a scary moment in the game. But then Dmitry Orlov just smashed Kane in the open ice very late in the
Oh
second
yeah.
period, and he went off with I thought, oh no, shoulder, he's out. Maybe he's even done. And can you imagine the anticlimax? Anyway, uh, and it did not look good the way he was holding his arm when he went off at the end of the second. But the third period, the first thing the camera showed was Kane lining up for the face-off, and he didn't appear any the worse for wear. And 3 shots, 7 hits, 2 takeaways, a goal, and assist plus 2. Not bad, you know.
Not bad at
That's
all.
that's I guess that's what they're looking for, and that's what they got in this game. I didn't think it was a perfect game from him, but it was a good game.
He's not well. We don't really know what he has yet. Like I think he's still got a considerable amount of rust
Hmm.
on him. So I'm not.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He's no Glenn Anderson out there, right? Like he's playing more of the Craig Simpson game.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what he brings overall. But if you play that Craig Simpson game well, which for people who don't remember, Craig Simpson is like tough at the net, really tough at the net, smart hockey player with the puck, protecting the puck, making plays, smart defensive hockey player. So that would be not particularly fast or flashy. That's
Hmm.
Craig Simpson, but
Right.
really really effective. And maybe we'll see that from Kane. So it's what we saw. I thought we got a glimpse of that tonight. Hopefully we'll get more of it. What's your other good thing?
Yeah, I'm going to go broaden from Nugent-Hopkins to the entire special teams, who essentially had a perfect night. They had uh, one whole opportunity on the power play, one chance on the power play, but for a change, it was the first power play of the game, which almost never happens lately. Almost every game, the Oilers get the first penalty, but tonight they didn't. And they'd already taken a 2-0 lead when Tom Wilson, I thought, viciously, dirtily slew-footed Jesse Puljujarvi to the ice, and then came up whining at the official about the penalty that I hated that play. I thought Puljujarvi could have been hurt on that, and it was
I
not good
hated
by
Wilson's
Wilson.
reaction. I'm with
Yeah,
you. It's like his
yeah.
whining after like
If
such
I'm
a
the ref, I tee
dirty,
that up right away. Say, yeah,
dirty,
you're lucky I didn't give you 5, but I sure can give you 4.
yeah,
Get lost.
dirty slew foot. I mean, it was a slew foot. He
Yeah,
took
oh yeah.
took
He
his
took his
leg out
skate
from
right off
behind.
the ice.
What a
Right off the
jerk!
ice, and then he kicked his feet out for his back of his leg out from under him. Brutal. Anyway, the Oilers made him pay for that transgression, which is the best possible revenge for a cheap penalty. I always used to say, hit him where it hurts, in the net. And that's where they hit him with a power play. Had one shot tonight on its one chance, and that one shot went in the net when Connor McDavid banked it in off of starting goalie Ilya Samsonov, who immediately headed for the bench with a 250 save percentage on the night. Three goals on 4 shots, but they made that count. Really, really smart play by McDavid. He definitely knew what he was doing there with that bank shot. And so that was it for the power play. But then the penalty kill uh, had to do a fair bit of work after that with 3 penalties to kill in the last 25 minutes of a close game. And not only did they kill them all off, not only did they prevent Washington from getting a single shot on 3 power plays, which is the second time that's happened lately. 3 power plays, no shots against, but the great big cherry on top was the shorthanded goal on that last penalty kill. So on the night, the Oilers had one shot on the power play and it went in. They had 2 shots on the penalty kill, with one being Hyman's original shot and then the rebound that was cashed for the goal. And Washington special teams had no shots at all, despite having 6 minutes of power play versus 49 seconds of penalty kill. So you have to score that as a major win for Edmonton, and all the griping that I and others have been doing about the special teams not getting the job done for the last 12, those facts remain on file. But now maybe we're starting a new page in that file where the special teams are going to start to contribute in a positive way again. And we all know it's long overdue, but it's sure good to see it actually happen.
I liked they had Puljujärvi out on their power play,
Mm-hmm.
and I note that he won the puck.
Mm-hmm.
They kicked off the virtuous cycle
Mm-hmm.
leading to McDavid's goal. And he's a really underrated power play performer, maybe even by his own coach. Because he should be out there a lot. Like he's those screens that Puljujärvi sets and his puck winning,
Mm-hmm.
it's fundamental to the Oilers' success that they've had on the power play. You know, they've been a little cold as of late, but he's
Mm-hmm.
he's a fine hockey player out
Like
there.
a young Alex Chason.
Exactly, Bruce. And you know how much
But he's,
we both loved Alex Chase. I
yeah,
got
well, same things though.
yeah,
Same
same
things. Work
attributes.
away
Yeah,
from the puck, creating space, winning puck retrieval, screening the crap out of the goalie. Those three things.
I think he's a
And
little better at the puck retrievals. Maybe not quite as good at the screens yet, but he
mm,
will be. But the puck, that's where he has something over Chase on because he's a faster skater and
a little quicker
a
to
little
the puck.
quicker and like a bit rangier. I think a little bit longer in the arms. All right,
Anyway, and he also drew that penalty, by the way, David,
that's true.
as well as getting
So
the time on the power play. He earned the power play in the first place.
maybe he was rewarded for that. Uh, Bruce, my good thing is just a single play, a single moment that was just a really important moment. We all know the Oilers' inability to get the first goal, how it's haunted them. They got the first goal a minute 30 into the game tonight, and um, it was a very nice sequence. Ryan McLeod made an excellent backhand pass off the boards to break the puck out. Goes to Cody Ceci. He takes it down the wing, who makes an excellent centering pass. But the play that, like Leon Draisaitl's stick play
Mm-hmm.
on that, where he kind of tapped it and sent the puck in the opposite direction. The momentum of the goalie, the plays all going one way, and he just put it back against that momentum and put it in the net that way. What a fabulous skill play by Leon Draisaitl, and just one of many. He's such a fantastic offensive hockey player, and he demonstrated that on that goal. That was a crucial goal for the Oilers and a lovely play.
Reminded me of one of those soccer goals where the guy chips the goaltender from right in
Yeah,
close.
you're
And he
right.
just gets one touch and it just up and over and it doesn't have to be going very hard, but it has to, has to beat the goalie right away and then it can take its time settling into the net. And that's exactly what it did. And that was a very subtle and sublime touch of the puck by Leon.
Or
And
Tiger
on a
Woods,
give and go, yeah, a flop shot.
Tiger Woods with a wedge.
Uh-huh.
It was. You're right. They do score those kind of goals in soccer. Of course, Leon's from Germany, like one of the great
Mm-hmm.
soccer powers on
Yeah.
earth. And I don't know if he played the game or not. He must have. They all,
Well,
I'm sure.
we watched it, and I've
Yeah.
been saying for years, David, even on this podcast, but not for a while, that all these complaints about Leon's body language, I look at him and he reminds me of a European striker in soccer when the play goes the other way, and he needs to unlearn it, and he still hasn't. But I'm sure influence.
Who here? Well, his play reminds me of. I think I've remarked on this before. Who was that great German midfielder? Briegel was his name.
Hmm.
Great big guy who played for Germany in Hans-Peter Briegel.
Okay.
Played for the German national team in the 90s. And he was this force out there. Absolute forceful player. Bigger, stronger than the other players and but highly skilled and able to, win the ball and protect the ball. And that's that. From the second I saw Draisaitl, I always had this image in my head of him being that player on the ice. So I don't know. I guess Leon's not. Briegel played in the 90s, and he's 65 now. I'm seeing on
Right.
Wikipedia. So Leon, that's probably before Leon's time, I'm guessing, to watch
Hmm.
soccer. Anyway, Bruce, let's move on to our bad things. What's your
Hmm.
bad thing?
Yeah, it's got to be uh, really the way the Oilers played with the lead, but I'll single in on Evan Bouchard's turnover pass with the 3-0 lead, and just a very careless exit pass that went right onto the tape of Capital just inside the blue line. Unfortunately, his partner Darnell Nurse saw Bouchard passing the puck and anticipated it going up ice. So he took like one step away from the net front and he couldn't get back there in time to clean up the mess because it went right from Bouchard to Justin Schultz to Lars Eller, who put it in the back of the net. And they were talking on the broadcast about who was going to get the second assist on the play. And I'm thinking Bouchard, if anybody gets the second assist on that goal, it's got to be Bouch. He did make up for it later with a key play on the winner, even though they officially haven't given him an assist on that. I wonder about that. Maybe he checked the guy's stick, whatever. But
I think he may have done that. Yeah,
uh,
that's what I think I
anyway,
saw.
either
But
way,
nonetheless,
he checked it right out of the zone and right into a good place. So,
yeah,
but that mistake, but just their inability to lock down a game. Like I commented on this in my number last game that they were up to 25 now, 26 games in a row, giving up multiple goals. And you'd think a 3-goal lead against a tired team, played last night, won it in the 65th minute, had to come home from Pittsburgh. They lost their star player before the game started, Alex Ovechkin, to positive COVID test. They're already missing two other of their top scorers in TJ Oshie and Anthony Mantha. They're down a few courts, Washington. And when you got them down 3-0, they couldn't finish the job offensively, and they couldn't batten down the hatches defensively. And that game was very much there for the taking. And arguably, Washington should have been the team taking it. But in the end, it'll be us taking the 2 points, and we'll take them.
my bad things just completely aligns with your own. I thought like the defensemen were all caught out on a number of mistakes this game, except for Lagesson, I think. Uh, and but they were often put in a really tough spot by the forwards. And it just struck me that the forwards were just running around all over the place in their own zone. They were deserting the slot constantly, and or they were all, they'd be, rushing into the corners, and then the puck goes flying out to the point, and there's no one covering the point. I mean, that's what happened on the one goal there, where Duncan Keith turned it over. Like it was a desperation play in the
Yeah.
slot. He turns it over. It's a tough turnover. It's not a terrible play to get it out of there, but there's no one covering the point, so it just goes right back in. And
Mm-hmm.
it's because what, I don't know, like Puljujärvi and the other ones are running around on that particular play. And I don't want to single out Jesse Puljujärvi in particular. There was lots of players, McDavid, Draisaitl, a lot of the big name players were involved in multiple mistakes in that 45-minute run that we've talked about, and not good. I mean, they got they were lucky to win this game because and Mikko Koskinen obviously had a good game, and they got some puck luck, but they were lucky to win it. And I really think it's because the forwards were undisciplined and not um, covering their positions in the defensive zone in large part. So, what's your number?
I'm going to go with 15-2. And we've talked at some length about the Oilers' inability to score the first goal very often. Well, they got it tonight, and they jumped out to a 3-0 lead that was 3-1 at the end of the first period. Well, in the last 32 games, the Oilers have scored the first goal count them, 5 times. But those 5 times that they scored the first goal, they outscored the other team 15-2 in the first period. Twice they jumped to 4-0 leads against Columbus and Chicago. At Vegas, they jumped ahead 2-0 in the first, 3-0 in the second. They hung on to win 3-2. And the other game also, it was 2-0 after the first period. And when they score first, they're great. Like they're undefeated for the entire season. I think they're up to 12-0 now. I mean, they haven't scored first very damn often, as we painfully know.
Yeah.
But they have when during this whole long horrendous stretch, when they just those rare times they score the first goal, and it's just like they've blown the cork, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 pucks are going in the net left and right, and it's baffling. And in the
They're
just to balance the scales, in the 27 games where they gave up the first goal, they were outscored 14-4 and 33 against in the first periods of those games.
This is the
So night
weirdest
and
team,
day.
Bruce.
Sure
This is the weirdest team. This is the weirdest Oilers team I've ever seen by far. They are a weird hockey. And I just was thinking of this the other night after I think it was the Ottawa game. Like, what is going on with this team? They're just so hard to figure out. They're just, coming out like gangbusters and then losing like gangbusters. And even in games they win, they're up and down and all over the place. And, you know, they have players who incredible offensive plays, but then massive blunders in their own zone. Defensemen streaking up and down in terms of their performance. It is a goalies streaking up and down in terms of their performance. It is a utterly inconsistent hockey team. It's, I think, fair to say. I think it's a fair comment.
That's very fair.
It's the most inconsistent hockey team I have ever seen. And mainly I just watch the Oilers, so it's not like I have this broad expanse of knowledge of all NHL teams over the last 50 years. But I've never seen a team like this. And who knows where it's going to end up. If they can just get, bottle that stuff that's happening in games like this in those first 5 minutes. They weren't that great, though, in the first. It was like one kind of good play. Like, it wasn't like they were dominating and storming the Capitals necessarily. They just got some goals on really high skill plays, like a Kane tip, and which is a big skill play, and Draisaitl's great play that we've already talked about, and then a beautiful power play goal where McDavid puts it in off the goalie like he's so smart. So, yeah, Bruce, it's a strange team. My number is 11 out of 12. Now, we will all recall not too long ago, after the Oilers lost 2 games, first 6-4 to the Senators on January 15th, and then 6-0 to the Panthers on Thursday, January 20th. We're like 12 days from there. 13 days from there. Everyone, I think, if you had polled Oiler fans on the Friday, is there going to be a major move? Like, are they going to fire the coach or get a trade for a goalie? I bet you, I was fully expecting one of those two things to happen on the Friday before they played the Flames the next night. And neither did. And since that time, they've played 6 games and they've taken 11 out of 12 points. The only point they lost was in the overtime to Ottawa, where they got the loser point. 11 out of 12 points after that absolute down moment of the season. So it's obviously too early to say that Ken Holland got that right in that moment, not to do something. But it's trending up. It's safe to say that it's trending up. And he did do something, of course. He brought in Evander Kane, which that deal had been perking along and was in it was, we don't know if it was a done deal by that point, but it was certainly looking like it was, it was highly rumored to be going to happen. So maybe he was thinking that was going to happen and see what happens after that. But 11 out of 12 points, this is huge for the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, that's for sure.
They are now, let me just go to the standings. They're still 5th in the Pacific Division, but in terms of points percentage, they are, wait for it, they're 4th. So Vegas is at 620, Calgary's at 610, LA's at 585, and the Oilers are at 583. Then just behind Edmonton is Anaheim at 573, and then San Jose is at 522. So it looks like down the stretch, Bruce, it looks like 5 teams are going to battle. Is it for the 4 teams make it out of this division?
Top 3 and then 2 wild cards between the 4th and 5th place teams in the 2 divisions, Central and Pacific.
All right. Looking at the points totals, looks like 4 teams are definitely coming out of the Western division.
Central? Oh, no.
It's called Western Conference Central Division. You're right. Yeah. 4 teams are definitely coming out of them: Colorado, Nashville, Minnesota, and St. Louis. And other than that, Dallas might. They're at 558 winning percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like 4 out of the 5 teams may make it out of the West, or the Pacific division as well. So we'll see. The Oilers are right in the mix, and they needed to go on that string to get into the mix. They're right back in the mix. They're hanging in there. It's not like the other teams are dropping a lot of points necessarily. So
No, it's not.
so it's going to be a good battle. But the Oilers are in it, and there's more good news coming because it looks like after, well, I shouldn't even say this. Like, how many times have we waited for Mike Smith to come back? I mean, it's like Charlie Brown and Lucy with the football at this point, honestly. So it really is. So maybe he's coming back, maybe he's not. If he does, that's a huge boost for the team. And Holland has 1 or 2 trades up his sleeve, I'm sure, because he's got some assets he can move, which is going to happen. And there's Dylan Holloway waiting in the wings too, so possibly.
David, I have to revise my number. It's 18-2 in the 6 first periods. I forgot. I wrote this column on Saturday morning. Well, that night the Oilers scored 3 in the first against Montreal, and now they've done the same against Washington. So they've scored six first goals in the last 33 games, and they got 4-0 lead on Chicago, 2-0 on Vegas, 2-1 on Pittsburgh, 4-0 on Columbus, 3-0 on Montreal, 3-1 on Washington. It's like gushers of goals when they score first. Should do that more often.
Indeed. So we'll see what happens here, Bruce. Dylan Holloway has 5 points in 5 games, and I'm not listen. I'm not, for any fans who are thinking, oh, you're jacking this guy up and like you're expecting him to be the hockey messiah. No, I'm not. I do think he has a chance though to play on the 4th line or the 3rd line, on the wing, and add a lot because he's so fast and he's so physical and he gets in there on the forecheck, and he's got some skill. I'm not counting on the skill to come shining through this first little stint. I am counting on the energy though, like that incredible energy that he brings to the game. So we'll see how that develops. He's been down there for 5 games. I guess Broberg's been out, eh? Philip Broberg's been out.
Yeah, he tested positive.
Oh, that's what it is.
He's expected to come back, according to Coach Jay Woodcroft. He's expected to be back for their next games. So,
okay,
sounds like he's come through the issue with flying colors from the sounds of it.
Did Brad Malone ever remember that there was that rumor like on that Friday that I was talking about where they were gonna fire the coach or trade for goalies? They were gonna sign Brad Malone, and then there was some kind of COVID thing going on, and he didn't get signed. Did he ever get signed?
He got COVID, and no, he didn't get signed, and he's still stuck on 199 NHL games, and he probably would have played his 200th that next day. But it didn't happen. But that was right at the lowest point after they'd been thumped by Florida 6-0. And we're thinking, well, Holland's either going to fire the coach or trade for a goalie. And the first rumor is he's going to sign Brad Malone to an NHL contract. And then he can't even do that. And you're wondering, boy, this team star-crossed or what?
Yeah, the groan heard around the world was Oiler fans hearing that Ken Holland was shaking things up by trying to sign Brad Malone. And all due respect to Brad Malone, who is a hardworking player and a fantastic AHL hockey player. He really is. That Bakersfield team is a good team. They're coming on. They're battling hard for a playoff spot. We'll see if they can make it.
Seth Griffith, Player of the Month, David, 18 points in 9 games. And he's on an NHL minimum contract. And so, yeah, he's been down there all year while Kyle Turris has been up here, and you wonder a little bit. But
Cuckoo got sent down there, eh? Was Turris actually sent down there as well, or is he on the taxi squad?
Yeah, the taxi squad is supposedly going to wrap up after the All-Star break. Like, there won't be any more, so expect a flurry of actual player movement as opposed to waivers and sort of reassignments to, because the guy doesn't really go anywhere. Like, as far as I understand, Colton Sevier is still practicing with the team and everything. But at a certain point, they'll have a 23-man roster, and they'll have to do something different with those guys. And that's as of right after the All-Star break, when they're also going to change their testing protocols. So it's going to eventually manifest into real player movement.
Are they playing Devon Shore with Ryan now? Now that Sevier's not, that's my recollection. Is that correct? Do you recall?
Shore
On the
tonight.
PK? On the PK, I mean.
Shore tonight. Yeah, sorry.
I think it's Shore and Ryan, if I'm not mistaken.
With Ryan, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Shore's a high energy player on the PK, and
Mhm.
and again he's got a lot, like he's got longer arms, longer stick, like he's more rangy than Sevier. So maybe that'll work out. I mean, I haven't minded Devon Shore on the PK. Maybe that'll work with Derek Ryan. It sure wasn't working in the end between Ryan and Sevier together. So
Yeah, well, tonight it was Hyman 316, Nuge 312, Shore 233, Ryan 221. And by the time you add all that up, you've got two forwards for most of the 6 minutes. And then Draisaitl, Yamamoto, and McDavid had a handful of seconds
yeah,
each. But that was they're the two main units. And tonight, they're all going to get a plus on their grades just for their penalty killing work.
yeah, it's amazing to me that they've kept Evan Bouchard there all year, because I think he went through a fairly bad time of it as well. But he's had good moments on the PK as well. Like there are things he does very well,
Mm-hmm.
gobbling up loose pucks and sending them down the ice is a particular strength. But they're sticking with him. That's fascinating to me, and I haven't really taken a close look at the PK all year long in terms of like the grade A scoring chance numbers that we
Right.
take, like who's
Mm-hmm.
leaking the chances against. I got to do that. I don't know, maybe I'll do that during the All-Star break. Well, Bruce, are you doing the game grades
I
tonight? I
am.
thought it was Kurt. Oh, okay. Well, I'll let
Oh,
you go then. I'll let you get at it. So
all right.
thanks for talking tonight.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.